Hey everybody, Backpack Hack here, coming at you with another trail tip for you preppers out there. And this video is just to put a bee in your bonnet about something that you may want to start introducing into your prepping, and that is communication. What are you going to do in an extended grid down situation when your cell phones and the internet, and there's no email, your telephones don't even work? So what are you going to do to communicate? Now this isn't critical like it is for water and food, but there will be a need in a grid down situation for communications. And if it looks like I'm opening an office supply store, well, basically I am. I'm going to show you what I've done to help prepare myself for such an emergency. What you do is up to you. My list of what I've done is not comprehensive. It isn't everything that can be done. There are other things that can be done. What you need to do is your choice. But basically, I just went out and here at the beginning of school here earlier this year, I went out and bought a bunch of these 3-subject theme books. It's just ruled paper divided into thirds. I got one of each different color. I got yellow, I got green, black, blue, purple, and red. I think I got these for 88 cents a piece, so you're not talking about a whole lot of money. Here a couple months ago, I walked into an Office Depot / Office Max, whatever they go by these days, and here at the end of the counter was a ream of paper, 2 for $5. I bought all 20 of them that they had there. Very inexpensive paper. I also got some basic notepads, carbon paper, don't forget carbon paper, just some basic legal pads, same thing as what these are, only larger size. Went down to the dollar store and I bought a whole bunch of number 2 pencils. I think there's 8 of them in here. I think they were like 50 cents for 8 of them. So I got 32 pencils for $2. You can't beat a pencil. Years ago, I was in a store that had, I don't know, thousands of these 10 packs of pens, 40 cents a package. Now, why they felt the compelling need to mark each one as 40 cents, but I thought, that's 4 cents a pen, and even if only half of them work, that's a deal. And I can't remember whether I spent $10 or $20. It was so long ago that I got these, but I did take some packages, and these are now part of my preps. I also got some basic erasers. If you want to, you can get into electronics. These are a couple of 2-way radios, FRS, Family Radio Service frequencies. There are 7 channels in each one of these. These could be great for short-range communications that point-to-point, kind of like a walkie-talkie. I also have a 300-channel trunk tracking scanner by Bearcat Uniden. This allows me to possibly eavesdrop upon possible enemy that might be using radios. I can pick these things up with this. I can pick up a lot of cell phone conversations. This was manufactured before they started taking out the cell phone frequencies on scanners, so I can pick up some cell phones with these things. There's one other thing I want to show you, and it just kind of completes my communication preps, and that is a typewriter. Yes, a good old-fashioned manual typewriter. I know a lot of people are thinking, oh man, that's old-fashioned, but you know what? I don't think I'd want to part with this machine. Now, when I was in high school, I bought a typewriter. I think I spent like $30 or $35 for it at the Sears store, and I think that was the brand. It was a Sears brand. And after computers came out, I promptly set it aside and put it in a closet. I knew I had it stashed away somewhere. And here, several months ago, I finally dug it out, and I was all excited. It's like, this is the final key into my communication part of my prepping, and then I looked at it and it had 3 strikes against it. First off, it wasn't a quality machine. It was a cheap machine. And even though it did function, I really thought, well, maybe I shouldn't rely on this thing anymore. The second thing it had against it was electric. And if it's electric, it's dependent on power. You got to either have a grid or some way to produce electricity just to make it work. A manual machine is better. If you want to get an electric machine, that's fine, but I would suggest that you back it up with a manual. The third strike against it was the ribbons. The ribbons were a drop-in cartridge type that were proprietary to that particular model, and I couldn't find them. So I was stuck with the ribbon that I had, and even though I could re-ink it if I wanted to, it was just easier for me to go out and get a manual, so I didn't have to depend on electricity, and used just an ordinary, to me, this is what a typewriter ribbon looks like. Just 2 wooden or plastic or metal spools with an inked piece of special cloth between them carrying the ink. And a word of caution about old typewriters like this, the ribbons, you're not going to find these at Office Max / Office Depot, whatever name they go by these days. You have to go online to get them. So if you get a machine, make sure that you stock up on ribbons. I've ordered 4. They're only $5 a piece. I may order some more sometime in the future. So that way I'm prepared. But when you have a typewriter, like me, I can type faster than I can write, and it's a lot more legible. But if you have a typewriter, you can kind of become sort of like a registrar or recorder. You know, if the grid goes down, the courthouse isn't open, you can write up bills of sale and contracts and land deeds and things like that. Semi-pseudo legal documents. And with the carbon paper that you have, you can make up multiple copies. One for both parties involved and maybe a third party for your records. So when the courthouse opens back up, everybody's got a copy that they can go into the courthouse and say land transfers or a will or record deaths and births and causes of death and things like that. Weddings, things like that, you could record. So this is Backpack Hack coming at you with a trail tip. Be safe out there. Consider getting into what you're going to do for communications after a shit hits the fan situation. And I'll see you out there on the trail. Hey, let's put some paper in this thing and fire it up.